If you are 65 years or older and you drive in the United Kingdom, what I'm about to tell you could decide whether you keep your driving license or lose it after January 2026. Many senior drivers still don't know about these changes, and some people will only find out when it's already too late. One simple thing, like missing an eye test or answering one question wrong, could stop you from driving legally, cancel your insurance, or even put you at risk of a fine. So please don't skip this video. Don't assume this doesn't apply to you, and don't think I'll check later. Stay with me until the very end, because I'm going to explain exactly what is changing, who is affected, and what you must do right now to protect your license, your freedom, and your independence. Before we continue, let me ask you something honestly. If you are a senior, or if you care about your parents, your grandparents, or an older family member, then this channel is truly made for you. Here, I don't confuse you with complicated language or hidden details. I explain important government rules, driving changes, pensions, benefits, and senior rights in simple, clear English, so you never feel lost or surprised. I regularly upload videos about driving license rules, DVLA updates, senior safety laws, and future changes that directly affect your daily life. So please, don't miss these important updates. Subscribe now, turn on the notification bell, because upcoming videos on this exact topic are already coming, and subscribing now makes sure you never miss information that could protect your freedom. If you're someone who's 65 years or older and you're still enjoying the freedom and independence that comes with being able to drive, then you need to pay very close attention to what's happening right now, because there are some major changes coming to the United Kingdom's driving laws that are going to affect millions of senior drivers starting from January 2026, and understanding these changes now will help you prepare properly and ensure you can continue driving safely and legally for as long as possible. The bottom line is this: the way older drivers renew their driving licenses is changing in a significant way. And while this isn't about taking away anyone's right to drive, it is about making sure that everyone on the road is safe, including you, your passengers, and everyone else sharing the streets with you. Let's start by understanding what's actually changing and why this matters so much. Right now, as things stand before these new rules come into effect, when you turn 70 years old in the United Kingdom, you have to renew your driving license every 3 years. But the process has been relatively simple and straightforward. Essentially, you fill out a form, you declare that you're medically fit to drive, you tick some boxes saying you don't have any serious health conditions that would make driving dangerous, and as long as you pay the renewal fee and send everything in, your license gets renewed without much fuss. It's basically been an honor system where the government trusts you to be honest about your health and your ability to drive safely. The problem is, this self-declaration system, while it promotes personal responsibility, has some serious gaps in it, because not everyone is fully aware of how certain health conditions might be affecting their driving ability, and some people might not want to admit to themselves or to the authorities that they're having vision problems or other issues that could make driving risky. Now, starting from the 1st of January 2026, the government is implementing a much stricter and more thorough renewal process for drivers age 70 and above, and this is where things get really important to understand. The new rules don't change how often you need to renew. It's still every 3 years once you hit 70. But what is changing dramatically is what you need to provide when you renew, and how carefully the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Agency, which everyone knows as the DVLA, will be checking whether you're actually fit to be behind the wheel. One of the biggest and most significant changes is that you will now need to provide proof of a recent eye test, specifically an eye examination that was conducted within the last 24 months, which means within the last 2 years. This is a huge shift, because previously you could just say you could see fine, but now you actually have to prove it with documentation from a qualified optician or eye care professional. The reason the government is focusing so heavily on vision is because your eyesight is absolutely critical to safe driving. And unfortunately, as we age, our vision naturally tends to decline, sometimes in ways we don't even notice happening, because it happens gradually over time. You might think you can see the road perfectly well, but maybe you're actually missing important details, like pedestrians stepping off the curb, cyclists coming up alongside you, or road signs warning you about upcoming hazards. There have been tragic cases in the United Kingdom where drivers with failing eyesight caused serious accidents, including fatal crashes, because they simply couldn't see well enough to react to dangers on the road. In fact, in April of last year, a senior coroner in Lancashire sent a prevention of future deaths report to the Transport Secretary after 4 people were killed by drivers who had failing eyesight. And the coroner pointed out that the self-reporting system allows drivers to lie about whether they're still driving or to ignore medical advice telling them they shouldn't be on the road anymore. Beyond the eye test requirement, there's also going to be a more detailed medical declaration process that you'll need to complete. Instead of just ticking a few basic boxes, you're going to face more specific and probing questions about various medical conditions that could affect your ability to drive safely. These include conditions like diabetes, which can cause vision problems, and episodes of low blood sugar that might make you confused or unable to react quickly while driving. They'll ask about epilepsy, which obviously poses risks if you have a seizure while behind the wheel. They'll ask about heart conditions that might cause you to suddenly feel faint or lose consciousness. They'll ask about any cognitive issues or memory problems, because driving requires you to make quick decisions and remember traffic rules and where you're going. The goal here is to get a much more comprehensive picture of your overall health and whether there's anything that might compromise your safety or the safety of others when you're driving. Now, you might be wondering what happens if you declare that you have one of these medical conditions. Does that automatically mean you lose your license? The answer is no, not necessarily at all. What it means is that the DVLA might need to investigate further to determine whether your condition is being properly managed and whether it's safe for you to continue driving. They might contact your doctor or specialist to get more information about your condition and how it's being treated. They might ask for additional medical evidence or documentation. In some cases, they might require you to undergo a special driving assessment where an expert evaluates your actual driving ability on the road, not just your medical records. The key thing to understand is that the focus is on whether you can drive safely, not on punishing you for having a health condition. Many people with diabetes, heart conditions, and other health issues continue to drive perfectly safely because their conditions are well managed with medication and they're following their doctor's advice. Another important aspect of these changes is that the renewal process is being modernized and digitized. You'll be able to renew your license online through the government website at gov.uk, and you'll have the option to get either a traditional physical photocard license or a new digital version that's linked to your Gov UK account. The digital option is part of a broader push toward making government services more modern and efficient, and it should make things more convenient for people who are comfortable using computers and smartphones. However, the government and the DVLA have recognized that not everyone in the older generation is tech-savvy or has easy access to the internet, so they're making sure that alternative options remain available. You'll still be able to renew by post using paper forms if you prefer, and that postal renewal option will actually be free, whereas the online renewal costs £14. Additionally, there will be free digital help sessions available at libraries and community hubs where volunteers and staff can help you complete the online process if you want to try it but need assistance. You can also get help over the phone through the DVLA helpline if you're struggling with any part of the process. Let's talk about the timeline and who exactly is affected by these changes, because this is crucial to understand. If you currently have a 3-year license that expires before January 1st, 2026, you'll renew under the old system one last time, so you won't face these new requirements just yet. However, any renewal that happens on or after January 1st, 2026 will automatically be subject to the new rules. Now, while the official age where you must start renewing every 3 years is 70, these new requirements are actually being discussed in the context of drivers 65 and above, which means if you're 65 or older right now, you should start preparing for these changes even if you haven't reached 70 yet. The government is taking this approach because they want to gradually introduce more rigorous health monitoring for older drivers, and starting the conversation and preparation at 65 gives people time to get their affairs in order, schedule eye tests, talk to their doctors about any health concerns, and understand what will be expected of them. Now, I want to address what I know might be going through your mind right now, which is concern or even fear about whether these changes mean the government is trying to force older people off the road or take away their independence. This is a very understandable worry because for many seniors, driving is absolutely essential to maintaining independence, staying connected with family and friends, getting to medical appointments, doing shopping, and just maintaining a good quality of life. The government has been very clear in stating that the goal of these changes is not to discriminate against older drivers or to make it harder for people to drive just because of their age. In fact, the statistics show that older drivers are generally more careful and cautious than younger drivers and actually cause fewer accidents overall. The real issue is that certain age-related health conditions, when they're not properly identified and managed, can create serious safety risks. The government is trying to balance two important values here. On one hand, they want to respect and preserve the independence and mobility of senior citizens who are perfectly capable of driving safely, and on the other hand, they have a responsibility to protect public safety and prevent avoidable accidents and tragedies. Organizations like Age UK and the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, known as ROSPA, have been working closely with the Department for Transport to help design these new rules in a way that's fair and supportive rather than punitive. These organizations understand how important driving is to older people's well-being, and they've been advocating for a system that helps people continue driving safely for as long as possible, while also identifying situations where someone genuinely shouldn't be behind the wheel anymore for their own safety and everyone else's. The emphasis is on early detection of potential problems so that they can be addressed before they lead to an accident. For example, if an eye test reveals that you're developing cataracts that are affecting your vision, getting treatment for those cataracts might allow you to continue driving safely, whereas if the condition went undetected and untreated, it could eventually lead to a crash. Let me also explain some related changes that are happening to road safety laws more broadly in 2026, because understanding the bigger picture helps explain why the government is taking road safety so seriously right now. The government has announced its first comprehensive road safety strategy in more than a decade, and it includes some ambitious goals. They want to reduce deaths and serious injuries on Britain's roads by 65% by the year 2035. And for children under 16, they want to reduce deaths and serious injuries by 70%. To achieve these goals, they're looking at multiple areas of road safety, not just older drivers. For instance, they're proposing to lower the drink-drive limit from 80 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood down to 50 milligrams, bringing England and Wales in line with Scotland and many other European countries. They're also looking at requiring convicted drink drivers to have alcolocks fitted to their vehicles, which are devices that prevent the car from starting if the driver has alcohol on their breath. There are proposals to give police new powers to immediately suspend driving licenses for people suspected of drink or drug-related driving offenses even before they've been convicted. The government is also cracking down on uninsured drivers and illegal number plates, and they're using more advanced automated number plate recognition cameras, known as ANPR, to spot vehicles that haven't been taxed or tested for roadworthiness. Another interesting development happening in 2026 is that speed limiting technology is becoming standard in new cars. Since July 2024, it's been a legal requirement for almost all new cars sold in the UK and Europe to be fitted with what's called Intelligent Speed Assistance, or ISA for short. By 2026, virtually every new vehicle on the forecourt will have this technology as standard. Here's how it works. The car uses GPS and cameras that can read traffic signs to automatically know what the speed limit is on whatever road you're driving on. If you exceed the speed limit, the car will flash a warning light on your dashboard and sound a repetitive chime to alert you. In some cars, the system can even automatically reduce engine power to slow the vehicle down to the legal speed limit. Now, drivers can turn the system off if they want to, but here's the catch. The system automatically reactivates every time you restart the car, so you can't just disable it once and forget about it. This is all part of the government's broader strategy to reduce speeding violations and the accidents that result from excessive speed. So what should you do right now to prepare for these changes if you're 65 or older? First and most importantly, schedule an eye test if you haven't had one recently. Don't wait until the last minute when your license is about to expire. Get your eyes checked now. And if you normally wear glasses or contact lenses for driving, make sure you're wearing them for the test. The standard that the DVLA uses is whether you can read a standard vehicle number plate from 20 meters away, which is about the length of 5 cars parked end to end. If you can't read a number plate clearly from that distance, even with your glasses on, then you need to see an optician immediately because your vision isn't meeting the legal standard for driving. The optician can determine whether you need a new prescription for stronger glasses, whether you have a condition like cataracts that can be treated, or whether there's a more serious vision problem that needs to be addressed. Getting this sorted out now gives you time to get treatment if needed, rather than facing a license renewal deadline with untreated vision problems. Second, make sure you're being honest with yourself and with your doctor about any health conditions you have. If you've been diagnosed with diabetes, heart disease, epilepsy, cognitive issues, or any other condition that could potentially affect driving, make sure it's being properly managed and that you're following your treatment plan. Have a frank conversation with your GP about whether your condition might affect your driving and what you need to do to stay safe behind the wheel. It's much better to have this conversation proactively, rather than having the DVLA find out about an undeclared condition later, because failing to declare a relevant medical condition can result in serious consequences, including fines of up to £1,000, prosecution, invalidation of your car insurance, and having your license revoked. Third, if you're not comfortable with computers and online forms, start thinking now about how you'll handle the renewal process. Will you use the postal option with paper forms? Do you have a family member or friend who could help you with an online renewal? Would you feel comfortable going to a library or community hub to get assistance with the digital process? Planning this ahead of time will reduce stress when your renewal date approaches. The DVLA has said that most renewals are processed within 7 working days when done online, but postal renewals and renewals that require additional medical investigation can take longer, so factor that into your planning. Fourth, make sure all your other documentation is in order. Your car needs to have a valid MOT certificate. If it's over 3 years old, it needs to be properly taxed and registered, and you need to have valid insurance. The police are using increasingly sophisticated automated cameras to detect vehicles that aren't properly documented. And if your car isn't legal to be on the road, it doesn't matter whether your license is valid or not. Also, make sure your number plates are legal and properly formatted, because there's been a crackdown on illegal plates, including what are called ghost plates that use reflective materials designed to blind speed cameras. Finally, and this is perhaps the most important point, please understand that these changes, while they might seem inconvenient or even a bit intrusive, are genuinely designed with your best interests and everyone's safety in mind. The government isn't trying to make your life difficult or take away your freedom. They're trying to create a system where people can drive confidently and safely for as long as they're able to do so, while also catching potential problems before they lead to tragedy. If you're in good health, if your vision is fine, and if you're managing any medical conditions properly, then these new rules shouldn't prevent you from continuing to drive. They're simply adding some verification steps to make sure that the self-assessment people have been doing for years is actually accurate. And if the process does identify a health issue that you weren't aware of or weren't taking seriously enough, then that's actually a good thing, because it gives you the opportunity to address it and potentially continue driving safely rather than having a preventable accident. The United Kingdom currently has more than 5 million drivers over the age of 70, and that number has been growing rapidly as people live longer and stay more active well into their later years. In fact, There are now more than 1.3 million license holders over the age of 80, which is double what it was just 2 decades ago. This demographic shift means that issues around older driver safety are only going to become more important in the coming years, and having clear, consistent, and fair rules that apply to everyone is essential. These new requirements that are coming in January 2026 are part of a careful, evidence-based approach that has been developed in consultation with medical experts, road safety professionals, and organizations that represent older people's interests. The focus is squarely on medical fitness and driving ability, not on age discrimination. Two people who are both 75 years old might be in completely different states of health and have completely different levels of driving competence, and these new rules are designed to assess each person individually rather than making blanket assumptions based on age alone. So as we approach February 2026 and beyond, the message for seniors who drive is simple. Stay informed, be proactive about your health, get your eyes tested regularly, be honest about any medical conditions, keep all your vehicle documentation up to date, and don't be afraid to ask for help with the renewal process if you need it. These changes are significant, and they will affect millions of people, but they're manageable if you prepare properly and approach them with a positive attitude. Driving is a privilege that comes with responsibilities, and one of those responsibilities is making sure you're fit to be behind the wheel. By embracing these new requirements and taking them seriously, you're not just protecting yourself, you're protecting everyone else on the road too, and that's something we should all be committed to regardless of our age.